Mom, Dad, this is G'day.
I'm supposed to ask you G'day.
You learned that to make me look bad.
You don't need my help there.
Ticket to Paradise stars George Clooney and Julia Roberts as a bickering divorced couple who come together to break up their daughter's upcoming wedding. Now that's a fun comic premise with some nice possibilities, but for some reason, Clooney and Roberts never get to let their movie star charisma shine fully in this mildly enjoyable but somewhat disappointing rom-com.
We're here to negotiate your peaceful surrender.
Heard about at least 3 killings this afternoon.
I'm not peaceful.
Another movie star let down by a mediocre movie is Dwayne Johnson in Black Adam. This comic book origin story has some nice action and special effects, but the story is a meandering mess. I hate to keep saying it, but DC Comics has another miss with Black Adam.
The School for Good and Evil, where the true story behind every great fairy tale begins.
A Harry Potter-inspired story, The School for Good and Evil follows 2 new students who are best friends who enroll at a magical school where they will train to be either heroes or villains. This one has a great cast and some nice magic effects, but it's very much a by-the-numbers adventure for the kids over on Netflix.
It was his wish that you dig his grave. What?
The strangest film of the week is Raymond and Ray, the story of 2 brothers attending their father's funeral, despite the fact that the man traumatized them both in their childhood. Now the 2 men are there to exorcise some demons in this hit-and-miss black comedy over on Apple TV.
It's gonna take a whole lot more than a hole in the ground to get the old man out of your head.
And that's what's new this week in the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
33 past the hour. He is so important to this show. He has his own open.
Right?
Did you see that? Movie guy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you feel the importance sometimes? Because we're always talking about you, hyping you up. Sean's going to be here Friday.
So I'm usually still asleep at that
Yeah,
point.
the weight he must bear.
Right.
Yeah,
It's got to
to
be
have to
difficult
watch
sometimes.
movies.
And I'll tell you, it's kind of fascinating right now because we're in voting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are Hollywood companies that are specifically targeting the 300 members of the Critics' Choice Awards. And so it's like, why am I getting these strange targeted ads that are just for me and these other, you know, a couple hundred people? And it's like, I feel very special, but I'm also very annoyed that everything is for some obscure movie that I don't
But
care
you know,
about.
it's interesting, and just, I know this is kind of an aside, but in the reality is critics were kind of the first influencers when you think about it.
Well,
Before
yeah.
there was social media, there were critics of the different medias, whether it was film or television.
Absolutely.
And certainly they influenced, you know, a lot of people. I'm not going to the movie if this person says it's not worth seeing.
And I always say that the reason we're important is because there are, you know, 300 movies basically we need to see. Hollywood actors, who are the ones that are going to vote for those big awards, they're not going to watch 300 movies. They got parties to go to.
Right. Yeah.
Boring critics will watch 300 movies and then they'll winnow it down to the top 40, 50. So
Any chance what came out this week, and a couple of these movies are very high profile,
Yeah.
would have any Oscar contention at all?
no.
That was easy. That was easy.
Okay, so don't waste
Not
your
even
time.
special effects for Black Adam.
No, I don't think so. I think it's, you know, it's an interesting week that there are, like you said, very high profile movies, big movie stars, and kind of disappointing movies all across the board.
Really?
4 movies. Ironically, the films we're not going to talk about that are very good. There's a documentary on Netflix called Descendant. That's very good. There's a foreign language film on Amazon called Argentina 1985. That's very good. But we're going to talk about the mainstream movies here.
Sure.
And they're just not that great.
All right,
so.
well, let's start with which one do you,
Well,
I know what she wants to
Yeah,
start with, but
just
I'm
get it
not
over
sure
with.
it's the biggest movie of the week.
No.
Yeah.
Because I think the most talked about has to be Black Adam.
And I think you're right. Dwayne Johnson, you know, obviously, why has he not been a superhero by now? Why has he not
Yeah,
made a
good
comic?
question.
The man is practically a real life superhero, you know, and so this is about time we saw him. He's Black Adam. He's basically a Superman as an anti-hero. And this is a film that has some good special effects and it has some okay action stuff. Here's the problem with this movie is it starts off and they give us a brand new, you know, an ancient civilization 5,000 years ago.
Right.
So they have to take the time to build the world and introduce all those characters. Then they come to the new world, modern times, in this fictitious city that's been overrun by mercenaries. So they have to build that world and give us new characters. And then they give us this new, you know, collection of superheroes like a Justice League, and we have to get those new characters and whatnot. Look, all of this stuff, by the way, that shot's not even in the movie. That's one of the best shots of the trailer. It's not in the movie. Hey, look, so the problem is it spends so much time world building, introducing his characters, that you're an hour and it's like, come on, let's just do the movie. And the irony is, I understand why people feel the need to give us origin story for all these comic book superhero guys, but there's another character in this, there he is right there, Hawkman. And they don't tell us anything about his backstory. And he's just wonderful. They just get us into the action and let us go with his character. I think that's very good. I wish they would just do more of that. This one spends so much time on the backstory and on the characters. I think it just doesn't work. I don't think it's bad. It's just not the film it should be.
I'm curious to know how people are going to feel about an anti-hero. You know what I'm saying? This is not the good guy, right?
Well, he's not the official good guy, but he's obviously the hero in this thing. So.
Well, that's what's confusing. All right,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we'll wait. I think seeing it is what needs to happen to be able to really talk about it. The other thing is 2 stars, huge star power, but to be honest, they have not been seen in some time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they still have that power.
Oh, well, I think they do.
think?
I think they do. And we're talking about Julia Roberts and George Clooney.
Right.
And there's a couple of moments in this. There's a dance sequence that's just wonderful. There's the credits, outtakes, just wonderful. The problem is that they're kind of miscast in this movie. It's a story about 2 parents who find that their daughter is going to get married and they decide to break her up. Well, that's the good premise for a black comedy. But you don't really want to see Julia Roberts, who we all love her. We don't want to see her playing against love, against true love. And they spend most of this movie bickering. I don't think that stuff works. I think they're miscast. And I don't think the script is that great, if I'm being honest. But I didn't hate the movie. I just didn't think it was great.
Okay.
So typically what happens is they spend the whole movie chirping at each other and then they wind up together at the end.
Right.
Oh, you've seen a romantic
That's
comedy.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you already know the plot before you go.
But it's still good. Oh.
Yeah, no, look, there's
For
certainly
some of
appeal
us.
for their fans here. So.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
The other one, hey, really quickly, over on Netflix, The School for Good and Evil, another big stars. You have, Kerry Washington. You have, Charlize Theron. Basically, it's a Harry Potter type knockoff where these kids get taken to a school where they get trained to either be a fairy tale heroine or hero or the villain. And look, it reminds me a lot of Once Upon a Time, the TV series.
Okay. Sure.
People like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it has some okay special effects. I think it's not great, but it's not bad either.
Okay.
And certainly the kids
Interesting.
will like that.
Yeah, at least there's something there for them.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So big weekend. Anything coming up we need to be aware of?
So next week is the last week of the Halloween stuff. So we'll get Pray for the Devil, which is the last big Halloween movie. But we should also see Till next week, which is a big Oscar hopeful.
Okay.
So yeah, we're starting to move into that series. And the week after that, it's Armageddon time, another Oscar hopeful. Then it's Wakanda Forever, another box office film. So we're starting to move now. We just spent 2 months of everything was like, do we care about
Average,
these movies?
yeah.
Now we're headed into the
Now we're picking up.
holiday centrifugal force that starts happening.
Now it gets interesting.
Yeah, it's 8:40. Sean drops by every Friday, even with his own opening to the show, to visit with us about what's new at the box office and what's streaming. Sean, as always, thank you, sir.